So it's now 7 o'clock, so officially our session will now start. So thank you all very much for coming tonight. Thanks for being here. Hoping this is going to be quite a relaxed, quite an informal, but quite a fun session. So my name is Jason Blackman, and I'm an accountant. And a little bit about me is, well, first of all, actually, before I launch into my session, could you just confirm that you could see and hear me okay? If you could just type into the chat box, yes, that you can see and hear me, that would be really good. Caroline, thank you so much. So as I say, I'm Jason Blackman. I live in Lewes in East Sussex, down on the south coast, not too far from Brighton. And I've had my own practice since 2001. Qualified in 1999, I think it was. That was a long time ago. Things were very different then compared to what they are now. So I started my business in 2001 and I've been running a successful practice ever since. Recently launched into a few different things as well as running the practice. I've just started mentoring, as you can probably see. I do lots of training now. I do lots of training in Xero. I don't know if any of you were here for the Xero webinar that I did a couple of weeks ago now, I think. And so I do lots of training in various software packages, not just Xero. Xero is my sort of preferred software of choice, if you like, for what I do, for running my practice. But I also do other training as well in various other sort of cloud software solutions. Cloud is the big buzzword in my practice, as I'm sure you're aware for those of you that know me or you've seen my posts on the group. I'm very much an advocate of the cloud, trying to get sort of my practice 100% cloud-based, and I'm getting there, not quite there yet. A few payroll issues, but apart from that, I'm pretty much there. So that's what I do. That's a really quick introduction about me. If you've seen me before on here or you know me on the group, then you'll probably know a bit about me. But that's me in a nutshell. So what we're going to do today, I say this is sort of an hour long. We're going to try and stretch it to an hour. If we finish a bit earlier, that's fine. We'll use the last sort of 5, 10, 15 minutes maybe as a sort of a Q&A session. But the idea of this session, it's say a sort of live online group fashion, which is what I've done many times before. And the beauty of a group session is that everyone can participate. It's obviously completely live, so people can ask questions as they go along. You can ask me whatever you like. If I can't answer it, I'll be honest and say I can't answer it, and I'll come back to you on it. But the real sort of essence of this session, I guess, is to get everyone participating and, as I say, literally asking me whatever questions you want to. Basically sort of based around starting up in practice, setting up systems, sort of setting up bookkeeping systems, advice around the cloud, maybe making tax digital, which I'll talk a bit about later on. A little bit about pricing, which I'm going to talk about as well. Pricing is a massive area for accountants. It's a huge area for both bookkeepers and accountants, really. And I think even today, there's no real hard and fast solution about how to price your work, whether that's bookkeeping, accountancy or tax. It's a very, very difficult area, very, very grey area. But hopefully I can try and make a little bit of sense of it for you tonight as well. Now, as I say, it's going to be very interactive. I mean, if you're feeling brave and you want to sort of chat to me live online, then you're quite welcome to put your webcam on. You'll hopefully see the webcam icon in the top corner of the GoToMeeting screen. So you can by all means click the webcam icon and have a chat with me. Or you can just fire questions at me in the chat box. So it does mean that I'll be looking away from the camera quite a bit during the evening as I look at the chat box to see if there are any questions. But as I say, we're going to basically be focusing it around setting up in practice, pricing, a bit of marketing. I'll talk about the cloud, I'll talk about making tax digital, and sort of chatting about all of that should pretty much fill in our session, with hopefully a few sort of questions along the way. Now, obviously, I don't know what stage you're at, all of you that are on the session tonight, but don't feel afraid about asking me anything at all. However basic you feel it is, please don't worry. As I've always said on the group, and I always say to everyone, there's no question that's a silly question, okay? So please feel free to ask anything you like of me at all. And as I say, I will try and answer it. If I can't answer it, then I'll come back to you. It's not a problem. So the first thing I want to talk about really is, I guess, pricing. A lot of students on the group have asked me about pricing, and it's a huge area. So I'm going to talk about that. in a little while. Before I do, what I'm going to say about this sort of live mentoring session is this is a bit of a trial session because I'm shortly due to launch a brand new service. I do a fair amount of mentoring in my sort of everyday life. I do actually mentor other accountants as well. There's lots of accountants, believe it or not, that still haven't embraced the cloud, which I personally find quite surprising. So I talk to a lot of other accountants about the cloud and sort of how to implement it and how to sort of set your business up to go cloud-based, if you like. It's obviously a big change for a lot of accountants. It's a big area, so I do sort of coach, train, mentor a lot of accountants in that. But really what I'm aiming to do now is to build a new mentoring service very much focused around accounting students like yourself. So I'm shortly due to launch, which is really exciting, a completely new mentoring service, and it's based around the Facebook group, the membership group, Natasha's group. It's going to be based exclusively for members of Natasha's group. Okay, so I'm going to start mentoring accounting students. I'm going to aim to do it fortnightly to see how that goes. So rather than just having one sort of online meeting on a monthly basis, which is not ideal because sometimes if people can't attend, they're going to miss out on that month. So what I'm aiming to do is to do sort of live online group mentoring in this sort of fashion with lots and lots of interaction. That's the key. I want to try and get as many members as I can from Natasha's group joining into this, and not only hopefully benefiting from what I say and the sort of knowledge that I can give, but also sharing knowledge with each other as well. I think that's the beauty of online mentoring in a group format, is that the ability to share knowledge with via other members. So we may get into a situation, for example, going forward where I don't do a lot of talking. There's just lots of members talking to each other sort of live online, which is also extremely beneficial and extremely helpful. And at the end of the day, you, the members, are going to know lots of things that I don't know, like the sort of AAT syllabus at the moment, how that works, all the sort of new developments that are going on there. Obviously, I qualified with AAT many years ago, and I'm sure things have changed a lot since then. So the sort of online group mentoring is, as I say, very much focused around learning and sharing ideas and sharing success stories, really. So that's what we're aiming to do with the group mentoring going forward. So really excited about it. As I say, the idea is it's going to be exclusively for Natasha's members, so I'm not going to allow anyone else into the group unless you're a member of Natasha's group. So it's very much working with Natasha and her group, and yeah, it's a really exciting project. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that and how you can get involved sort of towards the end of the session. So no one's got any questions for the moment. I'm keeping my eye on the chat box. So I'll start just to talk about pricing initially, because I know it's as I say, a huge area for accountants and for bookkeepers. And there's various different ways of pricing both bookkeeping and accountancy work. Now, I guess the traditional way of pricing it, the way most people price it, and certainly in the old days, sounds terrible, but many years ago, hourly rates were really the only way that sort of bookkeepers or accountants charge. And I think that still stands today. I think a lot of bookkeepers and a lot of accountants still do charge by the hour. Now, I don't like hourly rates. I never have done. I think that hourly rates are unfair. I think they're unfair for lots of reasons. And I think they're unfair on, for example, on you, the bookkeeper or the accountant, because let's just take it from say a bookkeeper's point of view. If you're charging X number of hours at X per hour, then you're always limited to what you can earn. So for example, let's just pluck a figure out of the air. I know your rates are going to be a lot higher than this, but let's say you're charging £10 an hour, 8 hours a day. So your income really is limited to £80 per day for 5 days in a week. You're never going to be able to earn any more than that if you charge by the hour. I guess if you're working more than sort of 40 hours a week, if you're working evenings and weekends, then there's always scope to earn more. But you're always very limited. If you're charging by the hour, there's only a sort of finite number of hours that you can physically work during any given week. And therefore, you're doing yourself a disservice because you're never going to be able to earn any more than a certain amount. Now, obviously, you can put your hourly rate up, which will increase your fee income. But it's very restricting, I do think. I think charging by the hour is very restrictive. And as well as it not being fair on you, being a bookkeeper or an accountant, I think it's also unfair on the client as well. I've read lots and lots of times, there's a lot of research gone into this, and one of the, I think, bugbears of clients with their accountant is surprise bills. Now, really, by definition, any bill that charges by the hour is in effect a surprise. For example, if you're doing a set of accounts work and you're charging by the hour, you're not going to know in advance how long that's going to take you. You don't know how difficult the job is, and the client doesn't really know what to expect. I guess you can give the client a rough idea. Okay, you could say this will take 10 hours, and if it ends up taking you 15 or 20 and you invoice the client, then they're not going to be happy about it. So I think that hourly rates are very unfair. So they're restrictive to you, and I think they're unfair on the client as well. And surprise bills, as I say, clients don't like it, and the last thing you want to do is upset your client. Certainly when you send your invoice. I mean, if you upset your client when you send your invoice, it's not great for the relationship for a start, and you start to worry if you're going to be paid or not. So I know I've said the disadvantages about hourly rates, but I think hourly rates are really made up of disadvantages. I don't think there's many advantages to charging by the hour, unfortunately, but it is a very common method, a very common way of charging. Now, Caroline's just said to me, can you charge different rates to different clients? Of course you can, absolutely right. If we're talking about hourly rates, as I say, you don't really want to go down that route. But of course you could, if you were charging by the hour, which I don't recommend, then you could certainly charge different rates for example, different work that you're doing. I mean, accountancy work would be charged at a lot higher rate than bookkeeping work would be. But I think the key, I mean, the sort of alternative method of pricing, if you like, is what's called fixed pricing. Now, I have used fixed pricing a lot in my practice, and fixed pricing is exactly that, it's fixed. So if you're charging the client, let's say you're charging the client a fixed monthly fee, then that works well for you because you know what's coming in, so you can budget your cash flow coming in. And if you've quoted your client a fixed monthly rate, then the client can budget as well. The client knows from their cash flow point of view what's going out for accountancy or bookkeeping fees each month. Now, how do you work out your fixed price? Again, it's a very difficult thing to do, and I can't go into now how to work out your fixed price, but it's something you need to do, and it sort of eliminates the element of surprise, which I think is the key in sort of keeping happy clients and keeping income coming in on a regular basis for you, and keeping cash flow on a smooth basis for the client as well. Now, there's another way to price as well, which is becoming more popular. I know a lot of accountants that do it. I've done it myself in the past, and that's called value pricing. Now, value pricing, again, pretty much exactly that. You're pricing based on the value you can bring to a client. Now, let me give you an example of that. A long time ago, I did some tax planning for a client. Now, it was in years gone by when there were lots of legitimate and perfectly legal tax schemes that clients could use. It was what's called quite an aggressive tax scheme, and it's the sort of scheme that if it's not outlawed already, it will be soon, because although it's perfectly legal, HMRC don't like it. But sort of 4, 5, 6 years ago, these schemes were very popular and very common amongst accountants, and they could save clients lots and lots and lots of money. And as it happened, I chose one scheme for a particular client, and the client was making a huge profit. I think it was something like £750,000 profit they were making. So they were very keen to get a tax scheme in place that they could save a lot of money. And to cut a very long story short, we actually charged a percentage of the tax saving. So that's basically value pricing. It's based on the value you bring to the client. And the fee, if I remember rightly, as I say, it was sort of 4 or 5 years ago, it was, I think it was an £11,000 fee, which was, to me, fantastic. And it was really sort of 2 or 3 days work, I would guess. Now, you can imagine if you were doing 2 or 3 days work tax planning for a client and you were charging by the hour, even if you were charging an hourly rate of £50 to £100, then it's still not going to be a massive amount of money. But charging based on the value brought me, and my firm, quite a large payment in, which was fantastic for the sort of, the relatively small amount of work that we did to get this scheme working for the client. And the client was happy because they were making this massive tax saving, and they couldn't really lose. So we basically said to them, whatever your tax saving is, our fee will be 25%. So the client couldn't really lose on that. If the tax saving was very minimal, obviously our fee was going to be minimal. So it was based purely on the value of the tax saving in this case. But value pricing can be used in other ways as well. There's lots of different ways of using it, and it is becoming a more popular way to price work. But most of the time, you need to sort of find out the value of the work that you're bringing to the client and charge based around that value. And it's something you and the client need to agree on, but it's something that can bring you quite a lot of money in. So that's 3 different ways of pricing. There's hourly rates, which I don't like. There's fixed pricing, which is very good, and there's value pricing. So that's the sort of 3 main methods of pricing. But as I say, it is a complete minefield when you're charging out money for your bookkeeping and accountancy services. It's very, very difficult to know what to do. And sort of thinking aloud here, because I use, I'm very cloud-based, as I say, my bookkeeping service is becoming more automated as time goes on. There's more software that's coming out. You've got software like Xero, which I've talked about before. You've got software like Receipt Bank, which I'll tell you a bit more about later on in the session. But all these different systems, all this software effectively saves me time and saves my firm time. So if you can imagine that we were charging an hourly rate, effectively our workload is becoming less because more and more is becoming automated. So if I was charging by the hour, because of all this new software and all these new systems we've got, we'd actually be charging less because it's taking us less time. Now, surely that can't be right. If you're delivering a great service to the client, if you're using cloud-based software, if you're using the latest technology, the latest sort of invoice scanning, receipt processing software, you don't want to be charging the client less than you were before, which you would be doing if you were working on an hourly rate. So I guess that's another reason why hourly rates don't really work. And something like I've just described, like invoice processing, Receipt Bank, Xero, cloud-based software, etc., etc., I think you're bringing a huge amount of value to the client. I'll explain a bit more about that in a minute. But it's a very good reason why you should be charging clients premium prices for that sort of thing and not by the hour. Now, another sort of element to pricing, which I've used for a very long time, is giving the client options. So when you quote, let's say you're quoting fixed prices for the client, one of the things that's best to do is to give the client a choice. You could go to the client and just give them you could quote them one fixed price, but that doesn't really give them a lot of leeway, and clients don't really like that. Clients like to have a choice. I think what it is, they like to feel that they're in control. So one idea you can use is to give clients a choice. You can give them almost a menu pricing. It's another sort of add-on, a sort of sub-add-on to the 3 areas of pricing that I talked about just now. So giving the clients a choice, let's say you're providing year-end accounts. Now you could give the client a choice of, let's say, bronze, silver or gold service. Bronze being the very most basic service, maybe just year-end accounts and tax return. You could then have the silver level of service, which includes everything in bronze plus, I don't know, maybe a quarterly meeting with the client or something like that. Or you could maybe devise a gold service, which includes everything in the silver service, plus maybe unlimited phone support or unlimited email support. It's very much up to you. But designing 3 packages is a great way of giving the client choice. And you will find that 9 times out of 10, if you do use this sort of menu basis of pricing, the client will often choose the middle option, which would be the silver option in this case. And I've certainly found that when I've quoted clients 3 different prices in the past, they will often go for the middle option. I think it's almost psychological sometimes. They don't want to be seen to be sort of skinflints by going for the bronze option, but they maybe don't want to go for the gold option because it's maybe a bit too expensive. So they'll plump for the silver one, which is sitting in the middle. So you can often, by sort of offering 3 levels of service in this case, you can often make a bit more money because most clients will choose the sort of silver, the middle level of service. So that's another idea to use. It gives the client a choice. And I think that's quite important, really. As I say, clients sort of don't like to be dictated to. They don't like you to say to them, right, this is what the price is going to be. They like to have a bit of a choice. And if you're offering them 3 different choices, then they feel it's a bit more flexible. They feel like they're in control a bit more. So hopefully that makes sense. Still got no more questions at the moment, so I will press on. So hopefully that's helped out a little bit with pricing. But as I say, pricing is a bit of a minefield. Sip of water time. It's a very grey area, and there's lots of books you can buy about pricing in the bookkeeping accountancy profession. I've got lots of books written by a guy called Mark Wickersham, who's actually been my mentor for a number of years now. He's the sort of UK expert on pricing in the accountancy profession. He's taught me a lot, and one of the tips that he's taught me is menu pricing and how successful it is. There's lots of other different sort of caveats to pricing. There's lots of other bits and pieces. In fact, there's a mass of other information that we could talk about when we talk about pricing. But that's something that I'll cover in future sessions. If we get when we get together on sort of the future online group mentoring sessions, pricing will be a big area, because there's still lots and lots and lots of ideas and lots of tips and lots of tricks that you can use when you're pricing your work. But I was going to go back to talking about cloud again for a second, talking about Receipt Bank. Now, I'm hoping in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to do a software demonstration in Natasha's group, showing you how Receipt Bank works. Now, Receipt Bank is literally invoice processing software. I think that's the best way to describe it, really. So how Receipt Bank works is you scan your invoices. Let's say you receive all your invoices from your suppliers. You can scan them. Now, you can either, the most popular way to do it is by taking a picture on your smartphone. And if you've got the Receipt Bank app on your smartphone, you literally take a picture of your invoice, and all that information on the invoice is fed through to the Receipt Bank dashboard. So Receipt Bank do all the hard work. So they extract the date of the invoice, the supplier information, the description on the invoice, the net, the VAT, the gross, all the important details of the invoice. Receipt Bank software will capture, and it will bring that information into your Receipt Bank dashboard. So it's literally almost doing the hard work for you. So what you're literally doing with Receipt Bank is giving the client the app on their smartphone, and all the client is doing is merrily snapping their invoices with their smartphone whenever one comes in, or if they go out and get a cup of coffee from Starbucks or Costa, they'll just take a picture of that receipt, and that receipt will automatically, all the information on that receipt will automatically be fed into Receipt Bank, as well as a scanned copy as well. It's fantastic software. It's not the only receipt processing software. There's lots of others as well. Receipt Bank is probably the one that started it all, and it's probably still the most popular. And it's a very, very powerful tool, and it can save you a massive amount of time when you're doing bookkeeping work. So I will be demonstrating Receipt Bank, as I say, in the group over the next couple of weeks. So look out for that. It's a really, really useful piece of software. But it does go back to the point where using software like Receipt Bank, you are saving a huge, huge amount of time scanning your receipts in this way, or scanning your invoices in this way. It's helping the client, it's giving the client a great service, but it's saving you time. So if you were charging that work by the hour, it would be minimal, because you're not really doing the work. Receipt Bank's doing most of the work. And if you're using a software package, a cloud-based software package like Xero, for example, then you can actually connect Receipt Bank to Xero. So again, I'll be sort of demonstrating that when we come to the Receipt Bank demonstration in a couple of weeks' time. But in essence, what it does is once Receipt Bank has captured all the information, or your invoice information, you've got your scanned copy of your invoice or receipt, you've got all the relevant details, you can then export that into Xero. So then literally the touch of a button, Xero suddenly has all that information ready to enter in the purchase ledger, for example, and it will send over a scanned copy of the invoice as well. So it's a massive, massive time saver. It's really, really professional. It's really impressive for the client. It's really easy to use, and just a really good addition to your cloud-based toolkit, if you like. But anyway, I'll talk more about Receipt Bank, as I say. I'll give you a demonstration of it over the next couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to sort of showing you that. But it's really another in the list of a large amount of tools, cloud-based tools that are saving you time and saving you money and making your service more professional, which is what it's all about at the end of the day. So, okay, we've still got no questions. Wow, okay. Right, so I'm going to talk a bit more now about marketing. Now, again, marketing is a very big area for bookkeepers and accountants. Again, a very important area. I've spent lots and lots of time with marketing over the years trying to get it right. And there's lots of different things you can try, but it's what works for you, really. Now, for me, my website has been excellent. I've had lots and lots of business from my website. But I think the key to that is that my website is slightly different from I suppose, what you'd call the normal accountants' websites. Now, I'm not being detrimental about accountants at all, but a lot of accountants' websites that you see don't really sort of set the world alight. You don't look at them and go, wow, that's amazing. Saying things on your websites like we do accounts, we do tax returns, we do corporation tax returns, etc., etc., etc. It's what everyone else is saying, really, and it doesn't really excite the prospect. If you're just saying that on your website, then you're going to look pretty much the same as all the other accountants, and obviously you don't want to do that. You want to stand out. That's really the whole point. So I think the key is to make your website a little bit different and make it a little bit more human, if that makes sense. It's another sort of trait, I guess, that I've had instilled in me since I started in practice, is to talk to clients on their level, to not be, I don't want to say stuffy because it's a horrible word, but sometimes accountants do get that sort of stigma. And I never wanted to have that stigma. Ever since I started in practice, I just wanted to be the sort of friendly, approachable accountant, the guy next door that someone could come to and speak to whenever they wanted to and didn't have sort of feel intimidated. I never wanted that. I remember one of the first clients I ever took on was quite surprised at sort of my attitude and said that their old accountant, every time they went to see them, it was like going to see the dentist. It sort of made them terrified. And I sort of made a promise to myself when I heard that I wouldn't be like that. And I think that's really the key. I think you have to show your human side. I think you have to show your personality when you're sort of dealing with prospects and dealing with clients. And I think they'll respect you a lot more for it, So I think as far as your marketing is concerned, I think you have to make your website more sort of that you're the approachable accountant, that you're the friendly accountant, that sort of thing. So I'm just going to read Caroline's question. If Novak experience that, so would never be able to use some custom marketing or right. I'll come back to your question, Caroline, in a second. It's a bit in depth for me to answer just at the moment, but I will come back to that. I'll either come back to it later in the session or I will come back to you. Okay, no problem at all. So marketing, I think the key thing with marketing is just be that little bit different to how other accountants are. Just make yourself sound a little bit more friendly, a little bit more approachable, and a little bit just say a little bit more of what you do and why you do it. So rather than just saying we do tax returns, we do accounts, we do end of year, we do payroll, we do VAT, just try and make it sound a little bit more exciting for the prospect, so that you stand out. So if a prospect's Googling accountants, which they will often do now, then make sure your website stands out. I'm saying Googling, I think that's how most people find accountants nowadays. I think the sort of, in the old days, again, going back to when I first started practice, things like Yellow Pages were very popular. Yell.com, I guess, to a certain extent. The Thompson directory, which I was always being badgered to advertising. All of these things worked to a certain extent, but I don't think there's any sort of substitute for the internet. I think that's where prospects, it's the first place they look for an accountant or for a bookkeeper now. There's recommendations as well, of course there is, but I think the internet, I think search engines are a huge thing for prospects now. They want to see your website, they want to find out a bit about you before they'll call you, I guess, or before they'll email you. So it's just a really good tip to make your website a little bit different, a little bit more human, a little bit more less like an accountant, which sounds really bizarre, but it's true. You don't want to be like the typical traditional accountant when you market yourself. So Charlotte says to me, is it possible to have your web address to have a look and see exactly what you mean? Of course you can. It might be a little bit maybe out of date now. I do need to update it, I must admit. But I will type my website into the chat box so you can have a little look at your leisure. There we go. So have a look at that whenever you like. So not everything on there is relevant. It does need to be updated. There's me saying how brilliant my website is, but it does need to be updated. But the general feel of my website, the sort of language that I use on my website, I think is very consistent with my sort of approach to marketing. So yeah, have a look and just sort of let me know what you think. But I think that's the key in your marketing, is just be that little bit different. So going sort of forward with that, I'm just going to, one more question. Tamara, how easy is it to set up your own website? Well, that's a very good question, Tamara. And I think there is lots of software tools now that you can use to set your own website up. But I'm very lucky, actually, because I have a client who's a web designer, and it's kind of a mutual arrangement where she does my website and I do her accounts, which works really well. So if you can find a client like that, it's a great thing to do. But I think it can be done yourself. There's lots of software, lots of tools that you can use now to do it yourself. But it's not something I do, so I don't have too much knowledge in that area. So a sip of water. So going back to sort of marketing, and when you see prospects, I think when you initially have your prospect meeting, I think again the key is to come across as more human, make sure you sort of let your personality shine through. And one thing I've found that's really, really beneficial, if you're meeting a prospect, someone you've never met before, is really, really take an interest in them. Spend a lot more time listening than you do speaking. So that should be quite easy for you to do. So rather than have the thought of, oh, when I go to this prospect meeting, I'm going to have to do so much talking about what I do, I don't think you are. I think the best thing to do is to ask questions about them. Ask them about their business. You know, it's what clients want to talk about. They want to tell you what they're passionate about, and they're passionate about their business. So ask questions about it. Ask how long they've been doing it. Ask what drives them to do it. Ask why they enjoy it. Why do they do what they do? You know, you'll soon get the passion in their eyes, and you'll soon get the rapport going with them, and the relationship will be created as you're talking to them, because you're taking an interest in them and you're taking an interest in their business. So I've always made a point of that. When I go and see a prospect, I really, really ask a lot about their business, what they do, why they do it, what drives them, what makes them happy, why they're so passionate about it. And you'll find that once clients start to talk about their business, they won't shut up about it, which is fantastic. It's great to hear. It's great to see the passion in their eyes. It's great to see the sort of excitement as they talk about their business. And that's what I think one of the things that sort of drives me in my business is this relationship with people. It's what it's all about at the end of the day. You know, I posted something on the Facebook group. I quite often post it, actually. I think I posted it a couple of months ago, maybe. And it's saying that about success in business, and that there's only a small percentage that's due to technical knowledge. The rest of it is how you deal with people. It wasn't exactly those words, but it was along those lines. Basically saying that how you deal with people is so important in running your business. And it's very, very true for accountants and bookkeepers, I feel, because to me, it's all about relationships. Obviously, you need to have the knowledge, you need to be able to do the figure work, the bookkeeping, the accounts, etc., etc., etc. But to me, it's more important to be able to establish a good relationship with your prospect, with your client. I think that's what it's all about. And I think if you can generate that sort of relationship, that sort of rapport, get the conversation flowing, get the sort of excitement building, then you're going to get that prospect hooked. You're going to get the client hooked. You know, they're going to want to deal with you. They're going to want to do business with you because you're taking an interest in them. And that's what I've always found so important in running a practice. So what should we talk about now? So cloud, I've talked about briefly. As you know, I'm a big cloud advocate. I personally feel that the cloud-based practice is the way to go. But I know there's a lot of accountancy practices at the moment that still aren't in the cloud. I've got lots and lots of friends, lots of accountant friends, and they're still using desktop software. They're still using Excel spreadsheets, etc., etc., etc. And I guess I find it quite surprising because for me, cloud makes everything so much easier and so much more fun. It's so much more interesting. I don't know if any of you were on my Xero demo a couple of weeks ago, but the sort of features that Xero's got, the bank rec, the cash coding features, it actually makes it fun to do. It makes the bank rec fun. I mean, whoever thought a bank rec would be fun? But it is, when you're using sort of state-of-the-art software, suddenly bookkeeping becomes really, really exciting and really interesting to do. And for me, moving to the cloud was the best thing I've ever done. There's absolutely no doubt about it. It saved me so much time. Everything looks a lot more professional when you do it, and it's kind of brought the fun back, I guess, really. I mean, I've always enjoyed doing what I do, or else I wouldn't do it. But using cloud-based software, using the sort of features that Xero's got, the sort of the shortcuts, etc., it just makes everything more fun. So I'm a firm believer in the cloud, as you probably know, and I think we're going to get to the stage pretty soon where being on the cloud is not really an option. It's almost going to be a necessity. Again, I've talked about making tax digital before, and the details for making tax digital are still a little bit sketchy because it's still in the consultation period with HMRC is actually finished, and the details are going to be revealed in January 17. So we've not got long to wait now. But the upshot of making tax digital is that, or this is what we think is going to happen. In April 2018, it's almost going to signal the death of the tax return. From April 2018, we're going to have to submit quarterly online returns to HMRC with our clients' data. Now, there's a few sort of caveats to it, as there always is, but in general, for sole traders and partnerships that are turning over more than 10K, by April 18, we need to have them on a cloud-based bookkeeping system because we're going to need to submit quarterly returns online to HMRC. So for me, there's never been a better time for you to get your clients into the cloud now and to start using cloud software. And software like Xero, you can take free trials. You've got a 30-day free trial. Take the free trial, have a play around with it for a month. Get used to it, see what you think of it, because I really honestly do believe it's the way to go. The practice of the future is going to be cloud-based. And if you're setting up a practice now, my advice would really be to get stuck into the cloud straight away. And Yulia has said, she's given some advice to Tamara. I would suggest looking Google free website builders. You can do it for free. I think that's absolutely right. As I say, I don't know about the tools myself, but I think you're absolutely right, Yulia. You can get some pretty decent tools now. So sort of, going back to sort of touch on making tax digital again, to me, we need to get onto the cloud now. April 18, we're talking maybe, a year and a quarter away, which is not that long. If you can get your clients onto a cloud-based system now, then come April 18, when this comes into effect, it's going to make things so much easier for you because you're going to have all the systems in place. All the sort of software is going to be in place to be able for you to start doing your returns online with HMRC by the time April 2018 comes. So I really would advise getting onto the cloud as soon as you can. I'm not saying you have to use Xero. Xero is my software of choice, but there's lots and lots of other packages available. There's packages like Free Agent, there's QuickBooks Online, there's ClearBooks. They're all cloud-based, but they're all pretty samey, I guess. But everyone has different features. But for me, Xero just about comes on top of the pile, mainly because of the sheer amount of features that it's got, really. But I think, even if you want to take a trial of, 2 or 3, maybe Xero, Free Agent and QuickBooks to see which one you prefer. But if you're setting up in practice or thinking of setting up in practice, then I think you give yourself a head start and start looking at cloud-based software straight away, really. So, got no more questions. This is surprising. I was hoping for a few more questions. But so we've got 20 to 8, so we've got about 20 minutes left. Oh, Tamara, here we go. A question, thank you. How much does the pricing differ from different cloud software providers? Tamara, it's pretty much the same, to be honest. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Now, Xero, it all depends if you're sort of sole trader, partnership or limited company. But I know Xero have got a bit of an offer on at the moment. If you look at their website, which is xero.com, and I'm pretty sure now they've got a 3-month offer. I think it's something like 25% off if you sign up now for 3 months. Free Agent is possibly a bit more expensive. I think it's around the sort of £25 per month per client, which sounds quite a lot, but you have to bear in mind that you know, that includes all the costs, for example, like software updates and backups. You know, you don't have to spend extra money updating your software each year. I know certainly in the old days of desktop software, you had to pay every year to get an updated version, which obviously with cloud-based software, you don't have to do because it's continually updated. And that's the beauty of it, you know. You don't have to worry about receiving a disk in the post to update your software because it's online based. Every time you log in, you're almost using an updated version of the software every time. QuickBooks Online, I know, is a lot cheaper. I think they're having a bit of an offer on at the moment as well. ClearBooks, I'm not so sure about. I haven't researched ClearBooks for a while. But having said all that, if you're sort of bookkeeping, your bookkeeping business or your accountancy practice becomes a partner of one of the software providers, then you will get everything cheaper. So let me sort of elaborate a bit on that. I'm a partner of Xero, so I don't pay the price that you will see on their website. If you become a partner of Xero, which is free, I think it's pretty much, that's pretty universal. It's free to become a partner of whichever cloud-based software you're with. So I'm a partner of Xero, and if you have a certain amount of clients on Xero, you get a massively discounted rate. I mean, I'm now on, I think it's £9 per month per client, which is incredibly cheap. So I think looking at the websites, if you look at the website prices of the cloud-based software, you may think it's quite expensive, but the reality is, if you whichever software you choose to become the expert in, or whichever one you choose to use in your practice, then you can almost certainly become a partner and obtain really big discounts on the software. Now, another question I often get asked, sort of leading on from that, is do you pass the charge on to your clients for the software? And oh, look at that, that must have been psychic. Tomorrow, do you pass that monthly fee on to the client? I didn't see that, honestly. That was clever. The answer is no, I don't. I make Xero part of the service I'm offering. So rather than charge the client, let's say, X per month for bookkeeping plus £20 a month for Xero, I make it part of the package. So I think it's more impressive if you can say in your package, don't forget, going back to the bronze, silver and gold, if you can say you include monthly subscription to accounting software as part of your package, I think that's quite impressive. The client doesn't know. I guess the client could find out. They could research the individual software to find out how much it costs. But I think if you can incorporate it into your price, as I say, if you think it can make subscription to accounting software part of your package, I think it looks a lot more impressive. It doesn't show the client how much you're charging, and it doesn't sort of feel like you're passing on a cost to a client, which, if you're converting to cloud-based software and suddenly you're incurring these monthly fees and you're passing them on to your client, and suddenly the client's getting an invoice each month for this software, then that could get their backs up, you know? So my opinion, it's just my personal opinion, I would say no, you don't charge your client for the software, you make it as part of your package. Charlotte says to me, what's my opinion on Sage? I don't want to get into trouble with anyone here, but I don't like Sage. I never have liked Sage. When I was using the desktop version, I didn't like it. I think Sage is quite fiddly. I just don't think it's very user-friendly. And I guess being AAT students and going through the AAT journey, it's kind of almost like a necessary evil. I mean, I think you have to learn it. But I personally feel, as I say, I don't want anyone to shoot me down in flames here, but I think software like Xero is miles and miles ahead of Sage. But that's just my opinion. I think there is an online-based version of Sage. I think it's called Sage 1. But I do know that it has had several problems with it since its launch. And I'm not just saying that because I'm not a great fan of Sage, but I think it's the truth. I think it's had a lot of problems. I think, personally, what happened was Xero came out and Sage, I think, started to panic a little bit. And they thought, right, we need to get this online software out quickly. And I think in their rush to get it out, I think it was a bit of a mess, to put it politely. But that's just my opinion, as I say. I don't want anyone to sort of shoot me down in flames. If you're using Sage, then that's great. And Sage 1 is the online version of Sage. I don't know how different it is to the desktop version. But certainly, I would recommend something like Xero. I think it's the sort of, I personally think Xero is the market leader in cloud-based software at the moment, and I think Xero's popularity will just grow and grow and grow as time goes on. I think they're a very sort of up and coming company. I think the difference between, let's say, Sage and Xero, I think Sage are very much sort of desktop-based software people, and they've had to evolve into the cloud, and I think they've found that transition quite difficult. Whereas Xero, they've started as a cloud-based software provider. So they've sort of built the cloud version, if you like, right from day one. That's what they've evolved from. Whereas Sage have evolved from desktop, and they've tried to convert that into cloud. That's just my opinion anyway. So Tamara says, having previously used Sage with previous employees, Xero did look a lot more user-friendly. And Xero is user-friendly. I mean, some people do find it a little bit complicated. I think, if I'm honest, it's a little bit more complicated. Not complicated is the right word, but it's got a lot more features than, say, Free Agent. Free Agent's a lot more basic, but there's nothing wrong with Free Agent. Free Agent is great software, but it's not as technically involved as Xero is. Now, you may say that's a good thing. I think Free Agent, however, is more designed for your clients to use. So if they haven't got a bookkeeper, if they're not doing their bookkeeping, if you're not doing their bookkeeping, if they're doing their own bookkeeping, Free Agent's a great bit of software to use because it's quite basic. Xero's a little bit more technical, but Xero is designed more for us. It's designed more for bookkeepers and accountants. So while it is a bit more technical, a bit more involved, a bit more complicated than something like Free Agent, it's better because I think it has a lot more features, and it's more designed around the accountants and bookkeepers experience more so than Free Agent is. I hope I haven't made that sound too complicated, but for accountants and bookkeepers, I think Xero is the best option. So Rachel says, in the practice I work in, when we're doing proposals, we put a line in saying we source a better value software subscription that is available direct from Xero, saving you X per year, which makes it more attractive to the client. That's a great thing to do, Rachel. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think that's a great piece of marketing. I really, really do. And I think that's much more preferable than sending your client an invoice for the Xero subscription each month. Making it part of your package, it looks more professional. You can actually make money out of Xero by doing that, rather than sort of recharging the client what you pay for it. If you're not making any money out of it, I don't really see the point in it. So I think making it as part of your package is a lot more attractive. And I think it makes the package that you're offering a lot more professional as well. So Caroline says, I understand data from Sage can be migrated to cloud software. Is this always accurate, and is it costly to do? That's a great question, Caroline. It leads me very nicely into my next point. Now, there's some software called Move My Books. Now, what I might do, and have a word with Natasha, and I might arrange for a demo of Move My Books as well. Move My Books is great. Move My Books is designed to convert your Sage data into Xero. So it does the whole process for you. And at the moment, as I understand it, please don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying the service is free at the moment. It's all of this part of this initiative for Xero to get as many people as they can onto their software. So I'm pretty sure that they're offering conversions from Sage to Xero completely free of charge. Now, I think that's just the basic conversion, which I think, if I'm right in saying, it just converts 12 months of data. I think you can convert 24 months of data, but pay a fee for it. But Move My Books is great software. I've used it a lot of times, and it's very, very accurate in what it does. It takes about a day, I think about 24 hours from you uploading your Sage data to Move My Books. It takes about 24 hours or so for them to convert it into Xero data. It's a brilliant service. It works really, really well. I've not seen, touch wood, I've not seen any problems with it at all, and its accuracy is amazing. And it's a very, very popular service. And as I say, I think Xero are on a bit of an initiative, because they want people to come away from Sage and move to their software. Then they're offering the Move My Books package for free. So that's well worth checking out. But I may do that as one of the next software demonstrations, a sort of quick overview of Move My Books. It's really, really great software. And while I'm thinking about that, there's another piece of software that the makers of Move My Books also do, and it's called Check My Books. Now, Check My Books is a really, really great piece of software. Again, it may be worth demonstrating it to you at some point in the near future. But Check My Books, what it basically does is, let's say you've got a client on Xero, or you've got a client on Sage, or you've got a client on QuickBooks, you can upload their data. It's very much designed for clients that do their own bookkeeping. So you can upload their data into Check My Books, and Check My Books literally does that. It checks all the data and it will give you a report of all the potential errors it's found, all the potential areas that need looking at. It's quite difficult to sort of go into it in great detail, but again, it's a very, very powerful piece of software, and it's a great addition to your cloud-based practice. And I only say that because they're made by the same people. Move My Books and Check My Books are made by the same people, and they're two really, really powerful, really useful pieces of software. So they're well worth checking out, and I may well do some demos of them in the near future. What kind of mentoring? That's Michelle. Excellent question. Just what I was about to talk about. So, as I said, I've been chatting with Natasha about mentoring these last sort of month or so, and as you know, I've been quite active on the Facebook group, and I've been doing a few demos. As you know, I've done I've done at least one software demonstration. I've done a few Facebook chats, and I've really, really enjoyed doing it. I've really enjoyed helping you guys. Now, I absolutely love doing it, and I love helping at every single area, whether it's talking about double entry, which I still love even today, or if it's cloud, or if it's making tax digital, or if it's Xero, any sort of area. I really love helping people. And so I've had a word with Natasha, and what I've decided to do is to launch a mentoring service exclusively for Natasha's group. So I'm only going to allow people in Natasha's group into my new mentoring service. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch the service tomorrow. I'm going to post all the details about it on the Facebook group tomorrow morning. But I'm sort of starting it off on a sort of trial basis. We're going to see how it goes. And the aim is to do fortnightly mentoring. So we're going to have a session for an hour each fortnight. The days and the times are yet to be decided, but I'm pretty sure the first session is going to be on Thursday, the 15th of December. I'm hoping to do it on a Tuesday and a Thursday. The times will be staggered so that if you can't make the first meeting, then you can always come to the next meeting. But it's very much going to be on a trial basis. We're going to see how it goes. And I am going to charge a small fee for it, but when I say a small fee, it really is a small fee, less than £20 a month. So it's going to be $19.99 per month, and what that gets you is fortnightly mentoring with me, group mentoring just like this is. So hopefully when we get to the group mentoring, we'll have a lot more interaction. We'll get lots of other students switching their webcams on, and we're going to get some really good conversations going, and we can all help each other. That's what it's all about. But of course, there'll be content from me as well. Every fortnight, I'll come up with some new content for you. And as well as that, you will also get, if you're a member, you will get unlimited email access to me. So I'll give you a specific email address. You can email me anytime you want, and I will help you out with whatever you're struggling with. Completely unlimited, all for $19.99 a month. You may say, how can you afford to do that? It's not my intention to make money out of this at all. I'm not intending to be a millionaire by doing this. It's purely to help you guys out. And we're going to go with it for a while. It's almost going to complement Natasha's group. It's a sort of an add-on from Natasha's group. Obviously, I'm still going to be very, very involved in Natasha's group. We're going to do software demos. We're going to do Facebook chats. We're going to do all the good stuff that we do. We're going to make the group absolutely fantastic, and I'm going to help her as much as I can. But the mentoring, what I'm doing now, is going to be a little bit of an add-on, but exclusively for Natasha's members only. I'm not going to allow anyone else into the group unless you're a member of Natasha's group. So as I say, it's going to be $19.99 a month, and that gets you the fortnightly mentoring. The times will be decided when I've got some members signed up. I'll chat to them and say, what are the best times for you? And we'll work it around you guys. And that's what it's all going to be about, helping you. And as well as that, you'll get the unlimited email access to me as well. So what I'm going to do, in the morning, I'll post all the details of how that works and how you can get signed up for that. And it should be really good fun. I'm really looking forward to it. And hopefully it will sort of complement Natasha's Facebook group really, really well. But as I say, the main bulk of my concentration as well is going to be in her group. We've got lots more software demonstrations planned. We've got lots more Facebook group chats planned as well. Lots and lots of goodies going on there. And my sort of mentoring is going to be a little bit of an add-on, if you like. So I'm really excited about it. Really pleased to be working with Natasha. The group is amazing. It's growing so quickly. It's incredible. It's just such a fun group to be in. It's really great helping people. And as I say, I love helping people, whether it's the basic double entry through to cloud bookkeeping. Any area at all, I'm happy to help with. So keep an eye on the group in the morning. I'm going to make a post in the morning about how you can become part of this, but I'm hoping you will. It should be really, really exciting. I'm really looking forward to starting it. So look out for that in the morning. So Michelle said, oh, I've got loads of questions now. Let me just scroll through and see if I've missed anything. Right, so Tamara says, do you have a list anywhere of all the software packages that you recommend? That's a really good point, and that's something I may well do. What I'm going to do, Tamara, is I will save the chat log after we've finished here in a few minutes' time, and that's a great idea. I will do that. I'll get a list together of the software that I use and the software that I recommend with the website addresses, and I will post that into the Facebook group. I'll commit to doing that tomorrow. I promise I'll do that tomorrow for you. So that's no problem at all. Michelle says, is it possible to get help starting up a bookkeeping business and checking work problem solving? Yeah, well, hopefully, Michelle, that's one of the things that I'm aiming to do in the sort of group mentoring going forward. It's very much going to be geared around starting up in business, doing bookkeeping and or accountancy. So definitely that's one of the areas that I really want to concentrate on. I really want to help students with. So the answer is yes. So hopefully moving forward, we can really sort of get going with that. So as Helen says, who's it aimed at? As I've just said, it's going to be aimed at students that are thinking of starting their own business or are already in business. And it's going to be focused around pricing. So I've got masses and masses of content around pricing, how you can sort of achieve better prices and get better results. There's going to be lots around marketing. I'll sort of tell you all the tips and tricks that I've learned over the years to sort of get prospects to come to my website or get prospects to come to my Facebook page. We're going to talk about marketing as well. Lots around the cloud, you'll be pleased to know. That's one of my favourite subjects and one I could talk about for hours. So there'll be a lot of cloud content as well. Making tax digital, as we get nearer to the time, there's going to be a massive amount to help you out there as well. So it's going to be the sort of whole package of sort of starting up a bookkeeping practice or an accountancy practice, or both, of course. So the mentoring group is going to be very, very much focused around that. But as I say, no subject's going to be off limits at all. The whole point of it is that it's going to be online once a fortnight for an hour with a group of students, and we can all switch our webcams on. We can all chat to each other. If there's subjects that I don't know about, you guys can talk to each other. It's going to be like a get together once a fortnight. But as I say, you do get the email support as well. So I'm hoping it's going to be really, really popular, and I'm hoping it really sort of complements Natasha's group, in a really positive way, as I'm sure it will. So that's just about it. Question answered. Thanks. No problem, Helen. So we're 3 minutes to 8 now. So I've just about finished. 3 minutes to go. I will be here for the next sort of 10 or 15 minutes if anyone's got any queries. I'm going to save the chat log. So if there's anything I haven't answered, I know one of the things I haven't answered is the software list, which I will do tomorrow. And I'll post that on the Facebook group tomorrow. And as I say, first thing in the morning, I will post on how to become part of my new mentoring project. And I really hope you guys will, because it's going to be really, really exciting. As I say, £19.99 a month. There's no ongoing commitment at all. You can cancel at any time. If you come to the first couple of meetings, you decide that's not for me, you cancel the direct debit and go our separate ways. But I'm hoping that we're going to get lots and lots of student involvement. We're hoping it's going to be a really, really good group and really sort of positive going forward. So that's it. Thank you very much to Natasha for having me here. As I say, it's so exciting to be part of her group. It's just growing so quickly. It's absolutely incredible. The numbers shoot up every time I look. It's just unbelievable. So she's running a brilliant group, and I'm so excited to be part of it. Thank you all very much for tonight. I'm going to switch my webcam off now and my microphone, and I'll still be here for 10 minutes or so if you've got any questions at all. But in the meantime, I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks very much.